نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي. ربي يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح ربي زدني علما. اللهم فقهنا في الدين. ربي هب لي حكما وألحقني بالصالحين. رب ابن لي عندك بيتا في الجنة. اللهم اجعلني من التوابين واجعلني من المتطهرين. آمين يا أرحم الراحمين. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu once again. I hope everybody can see my screen. Today, inshallah, we are going to cover Surah Baqarah, ayah number 234 till 237, some lessons from them, inshallah. And until last time, we had covered until ayah number 233. So these are the ayat. We started with the passage that we are on. It started with talking about marriage, and then there were ayat about divorce, and today we are going to cover the ayat. These four ayat, they cover some aspects of when a woman is widowed, when the husband passes away, and also some more things about divorce. So inshallah we will cover them. Let's go word by word meaning first. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
والذين يتوفون منكم ويذرون أزواجا يتربصن بأنفسهن 4 أشهر وعشرا فإذا بلغن أجلهن فلا جناح عليكم فيما فعلن في أنفسهن بالمعروف والله بما تعملون خبير.
والذين, and what is and? الذين, those who. يتوفون, يتوفون from like we say wafat pajana in Urdu, like to somebody passes away. So yutawaffauna, when those who pass away. Minkum, among you. So when some of you pass away from amongst you, wayadharuna, and you leave behind azwajan, wives. Yatarabbasna, then the wives or the widows, they should wait. Bi anfusihinna, be regarding or for. Anfusi, nafs is for the self. Anfusihinna, their own selves. Referring to the hinna refers to the ladies. So the plural ladies. So the ladies should wait regarding themselves. For how long should they wait? As in their iddat, the period of their iddat would be arba'ata ashhurin. Arba'ata, raba'a is for 4. Arba'ata, 4. Ashhurin, months. Wa ashra, and 10, as in 10 days. So they should wait for the iddat for a woman whose husband passes away is 4 months and 10 days. In previous ayat, we had learned about the iddat for women who are divorced, and that is for 3 months. This is for 4 months and 10 days. Fa'ida, then when. Balagna, balagha, to reach at some place, like people who reach puberty, they're called balig, right? They have reached a certain phase. So here the reaching refers to the reaching of the end of the iddat. فَإِذَا بَلَغْنَا أَجَلَهُنَّ, when they reach their specified terms, the term of the time period. فَلَا, then no, towards fa and la. Fa is then, la is no. So then there is no junaha, blame or sin, alaykum, upon you, fima, fi and ma, towards, for what, fa'alna, they do, fa'ala, to do something, fi anfusihinna, fi in, or regarding, concerning, anfusihinna, regarding their own selves, bil ma'ruf, in a fair manner, in a respectable manner, in a dignified manner. Wallahu, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bima ta'amaluna khabir, is of what. Ta'amaluna from amal. Ta'amaluna, what all of you do. Khabir, that he has the khabar of it. It is one of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Al-Khabir, that he knows everything. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is aware of, he is all aware of what you do. So in this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, and those of you who are taken in death among you and they leave their wives behind, then the wives shall wait for 4 months and 10 days. That will be their iddat. And when they have completed this term of their iddat, then there is no blame upon you regarding what they do regarding themselves. Like they have a choice what they want to do. regarding themselves, as in they want to get married again, they want to do something else, they want to stay in the husband's house, depending on like whatever is the situation, um, or they want to go back to their parents' house, whatever they decide to want to do with themselves in a respectable and dignified and in an acceptable manner, then there is no harm upon, there's no blame upon anybody regarding that. They can choose to decide what they want to do, and Allah is fully aware of what you do. So anybody obviously tries to do something wrong or something wrong against them, or the women tries to do something which is not so respectable and everything, that Allah Ta'ala is fully aware of what you guys. And if somebody has patience, then also Allah Ta'ala is aware, obviously. So here and the next ayah, Allah, ayah number 235.
ولا جناح عليكم فيما عرضتم به من خطبة النساء أو أكننتم في أنفسكم علم الله أنكم ستذكرونهن ولكن لا تواعدوهن سرا إلا أن تقولوا قولا معروفا ولا تعزموا عقدة النكاح حتى يبلغ الكتاب أجله واعلموا أن الله يعلم ما في أنفسكم فاحذروه واعلموا أن الله غفور حليم.
Wala junaha, and there is no junaha, blame or sin, alaykum, upon you, fi ma, in what, arradtum, you hint, bihi, with it, min khitbati, of a khataba is like a marriage proposal for the women, an-nisa'i, for women. أو أكننتم, or you conceal it, في أنفسكم, in yourself. So here the men are being told that if there is such a woman in your midst who has been widowed, and you have an inclination, you want to hint towards a marriage proposal when her iddat is over, then there's no blame upon you. And if you conceal it in your heart, then that's fine too. Like if her iddat is going on and you conceal it in your heart and you're waiting for the period to end, then that's fine as well. Alim Allahu, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows, He has the end, annakum, that you, satadkurunahunna, dhakara, to mention something, like we do the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we mention Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Satadkurunahunna, that you will soon mention them, that you will sure mention them, as in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that if you are concealing something in your heart, Allah ta'ala knows that He knows the future, He knows what is in your heart, and He knows that you're going to soon mention to them that you want to marry them or something like that. You will mention them. Walakin, but La tu'a'iduhunna, do not promise them, do not do wa'da. Wa'da is to make a promise. Tuwa'iduhunna, that do not promise them sirran, secretly. Do not go to them secretly and promise them. If something, I'm going to marry you after this or something. Don't do that. Illa, except an taqulu, that you say qawlam ma'rufa, that you say a saying that is honorable, that is dignified. Wala ta'azimu, and do not resolve on uqdatan nikahi. Uqdatan nikahi is the knot of nikah, as in the marriage. Do not resolve on, do not uh, make a firm promise, and do not make a firm thing about nikah. Do not marry hatta, until yabluga, until reaches al kitabu, their prescribed terms, ajalahu, its end. The prescribed term reaches its end, as in they have finished their iddat. Wa'alamu, and know, anna Allah, that indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, ya'lamu, He knows, ma fi anfusikum, what is in your hearts, in yourselves, fahdharuh, so be aware of Him, beware of Him, fear Him. Wa'alamu, and know, anna Allah, definitely Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Ghafurun Halim, is the very forgiving, most forbearing. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that there is no blame upon you for that to which you indirectly allude concerning a proposal to women. So during their iddat, you can indirectly allude that maybe you're speaking to her brother, or maybe you're speaking to her father, the lady who has been widowed, and you say that, whenever her iddat ends, and if you're looking, if you think about that, then let me know as well. Something like that, like you allude indirectly concerning a proposal, or you conceal it within yourself. There's no blame upon you in either ways. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what you'll have in mind, but do not promise them secretly. Do not approach them except like to offer your condolences and then leave. Don't approach her secretly and promise her something. And don't say something improper to her in this time, and do not determine to undertake a marriage contract until the decreed period reaches its end. So nikah should only be done after her iddat is over. And know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows what is in within yourself, so beware of him. And know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is very forgiving and he is very forbearing. Then the next ayah number 236.
لا جناح عليكم إن طلقتم النساء ما لم تمسوهن أو تفرضوا لهن فريضة ومتعوهن على الموسع قدره وعلى المقتر قدره متاعا بالمعروف حقا على المحسنين.
Okay, now in this side, it's going back to the topic of divorce, that la junaha, there is no blame, alaykum, upon you, in talaqtumun nisaa, if talaqtum, you divorce, an nisaa, the women, ma lam, whom, lam tamassuhunna, whom masa, like we do the masa while we're doing wudu, is to touch. And so, ma lam tamassuhunna, whom you have not touched. So referring to that you have not been intimate with each other, you've not had any relationships with each other, you've not been like a husband and wife together. You have just had a contract of marriage, but the rukhsati, either the rukhsati is not taken place, or basically the husband and wife have not been together. Then there is no harm upon you, either you have not touched, or أو تفرضوا لهن, you have not specified for them فريضة, as and any mahar has not been specified. That means that if you divorce the women for whom you have not touched, and you have nor have you specified any mahar from them. وَمَتِّعُوهُنَّ, and make provision from them. Mata is like a provision, something that you require for your day-to-day living, and used mostly in the financial terms. So there's, if you divorce such a woman whom you've not touched, and there is no meher that has been decided for her, then make a provision for them, and you should make a provision for them, alal musi, upon the wealthy, qadaruhu, according to his means, wa alal muqtiri, and upon the poor, qadaruhu, according to his means. So basically, there was no meher which was decided. Then what you should do, if you end up divorcing a woman whom you have not had any relationship with, nor you decided a meher, then just give her some parting gift. Give him some gift or something, and give her something according to your own means. Like there is nothing decided, but you know your own financial situation. A rich person should give according to his means, and a poor person should give according to his means. Mata'am bil ma'ruf, a provision in a fair manner. Be nice to her and be fair to her. Haqqan alal muhsinin. This is a duty upon the muhsinin, those who are the doers of good. Muhsinin is Muhsin is somebody who goes above and beyond. Like we know that in Islam there's the three levels: Islam, Iman, and then Ihsan. Ihsan is the highest level, and Ihsan is to do more than what is required of you. So Muhsin is somebody who goes an extra step, an extra mile, and does something good. So basically, men are being encouraged to be more generous. And then yes, if then give her something more out of what is required. That is better for you. So here it is saying that there's no blame upon you if you divorce women. You have not touched them nor specified for them an obligation, but give them a gift of compensation, the wealthy according to his capability, and the poor according to his capability. A provision according to what is acceptable, and this is a duty upon the doers of good. 237.
وإن طلقتموهن من قبل أن تمسوهن وقد فرضتم لهن فريضة فنصف ما فرضتم إلا أن يعفون أو يعفو الذي بيده عقدة النكاح وأن تعفوا أقرب للتقوى ولا تنسوا الفضل بينكم إن الله بما تعملون بصير.
وَإِن طَلَّقْتُمُوهُنَّ, and if طَلَّقْتُمُوهُنَّ, so طَلَقَ for divorce, tumuhunna, you divorce them, hunna for them. So there are three things here. You divorce them. So, and if you divorce them, min qabli, from before, an tamassuhunna, you have touched them, waqad faradtum lahunna, and while already faradtum lahunna, you have specified for them faridatan, an obligation, a mahr. فَنِصْفُ, then give them half of ma faradtum, you have specified. So now this is another situation that what happens is a person divorces a woman when they have not been together as a husband and wife, they have not been intimate with each other, but a meher was specified. Then in that case, because they have not been together as a husband and wife, then still give her half of what you had specified as a meher, because you've not been together, so you still owe her half. Illa an ya'funa, except unless, and there's one condition when you might not have to give half, is when she forgives it, afu, to forgive something. Aw ya'fu walladhi, or forgoes or forgives the one who biyadihi uqdatun nikah, on whose hands is the knot of marriage, meaning um, what is owed now is half of the meher to the woman, but if the woman decides that I don't want it, it's fine, then that's okay as well. And if the man decides that, you know what, rather than half, she's a good woman and we just didn't we just couldn't make it work together, it just happened that for whatever reasons that they could not continue this marriage, but she was a good woman, or I like to be a generous person, and he decides that I'll give her the full meher anyway rather than the half, then that's okay as well. So in both cases, it is acceptable if they do it out of their own will and they're not forced into it. They do it out of their own will and goodwill. One, and that ta'fu, you forego, aqrabu lit taqwa, that is nearer to the righteousness. So if a man basically gives more, then it is nearer to righteousness. He's more God fearing. It is nicer if he gives. وَلَا تَنْسَوُا الْفَضْلَ, and do not forget. Tansaw, nasi, and nasi is to forget something. The word insan comes from nasi as well. One of the root words of nas we learned before, from to forget as well, because one of the qualities of human beings, we forget things, right? And do not forget al-fadla, the graciousness, bainakum, amongst both of you. So do not forget there is a do not be like nasty to each other. Don't be mean to each other. Remember that there has to be some graciousness between both of you, even when you're parting with each other. Inna Allah, indeed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, bima ta'amaluna, is of what you do, basir, all seeing. He sees all that you do. So now in this ayah, Allah ta'ala is telling us, if you divorce them before you have touched them and you've already specified for them an obligation, then give half of what you specified, unless they forego the right, or the one in whose hand is the marriage, meaning the man, he marriage contract, he forgoes it. And to forego is nearer to righteousness. And do not forget graciousness between you. Indeed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is whatever you do all seeing. A little bit more detail about these ayat. So the first ayat 234, in this we talked about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us about a woman whose husband passes away. They should they should keep themselves waiting. So first thing is, when it says themselves waiting, even the way the sentence is structured, it shows that it is natural for a woman, just like it is for a man. It is very natural for a woman to feel the need for companionship as well. A lot of people, in trying to be ultra like trying to be super strict in some things or whatever. They are some people in feel they're being more conventional by saying that a woman doesn't really need, it's a man has needs and a woman doesn't have needs. But Islam doesn't tell us a woman has as much a need of companionship and other things that come with the relationship as much as a man does. She it is natural for her to feel that need, right? And then she'll be waiting. And what is iddat? The period is the time of waiting before she can remarry. That is called iddat of a woman who's either divorced or widowed. The time of waiting before she can legally remarry, and that is the time of her iddat. And the iddat of a widow is different from the iddat of a woman who's divorced. And the iddat of a woman who is widowed would be 4 months and 10 days. So it is mentioned very clearly here, 4 months and 10 days. And again, these 4 months would be lunar calendar, not the solar calendar. So a few days would miss. And obviously, if somebody is going through that situation, it's better to consult with a faqih or somebody who's more knowledgeable as into exact number of days and everything, because depending on her cycle, depending on what time was of the month it was, whether it was a new moon or not, and when the calculation of month will start from, and all those things. So these are more people with more knowledge should be consulted for that. But as a general sense, for us to know what is the general criteria, is that it is 4 months and 10 days. And all kinds of women who are widowed will observe this iddat, whether a woman was married but no rukhsati had taken place yet, like she had not started living yet with her husband, and they had not lived as a man and wife yet, but still the marriage contract had taken place. Then there will be an iddat involved. Also, uh, if obviously if they're living together, then there will be that as well. Whether a woman is young or very young, or whether she's very old, then too the iddat will be applicable. Whether the husband and wife were in love with each other, or whether they were not, they didn't see eye to eye with each other, they had a lot of friction or complications between them. Either ways, even then, once the husband passes away, there will be an id that will be there. There's only one exception to this rule of 4 months and 10 days, which is if she's pregnant. And if she's pregnant, then her iddat will last until delivery. And this rule comes later on in Surah Talaq in ayah number 4 later on. And that is why, subhanAllah, it is very important for us to not learn just something. When we start learning about Islam and Quran and things in Hadith or Quran, a lot of us in the beginning we get a bit overzealous, right? So we learn something like, okay, this is how it goes. We learn something, but there are other places where there are exceptions and there are other things as well. So for legal matters, when we are going through, if somebody is going through, or when we are about to advise somebody about their particular situation, in a particular situation that they are in, we should not give fatwas to people unless we are qualified. And what does it mean to be qualified? A person who's read the whole thing, who's gone through a whole study of the Quran and the Hadith, and who understand different implications of different situations. So common people, we should, when we are learning, we should take the lesson definitely, and we should have a general idea that I believe this is so, but we should not give fatwas until to others regarding their specific situation. In general, we know this is the thing, but we should not do that. And may Allah Ta'ala protect all of us from that. So what does it mean to stop herself? What is the iddat for a woman who is widowed? What does it look like? The most important thing obviously is that she will not marry somebody in this period of time. There'll be no marriage in this time. It is okay for her to marry after that, but not during this time. And it's not also not correct to start talking about second marriage in very clear and unambiguous words, right? And in this time, for a woman who's widowed, it is our religion tells us that it is different from a woman who's divorced in the sense that she will not beautify herself. She will not do any beauty treatments. She will not put like makeup and use henna or perfume, or wear very colorful clothes or makeup or jewelry and hair color, etc. And it is obviously she doesn't feel like that either, because the death of a husband is a time of mourning. And the only time when a woman or any human being, for example, more is the time of mourning is longer than 3 days is for a woman who's mourning for her husband, because otherwise we know that the mourning period is 3 days. in Islam, that we should not mourn for anyone more than 3 days, and just except the only exception is a woman who's been married and her iddat, she's allowed to, because it's a huge setback, unlike any other. So she's this Allah Ta'ala has given us this time for her to have it's his, first of all, more than anything else, it is the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and there is no command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that does not have hikmah, does not have wisdom in it. And of course we can't understand the total wisdom, but we have this, and scholars have extrapolated some wisdom out of it. One thing is that our mood changes according to the clothes we wear, and that is a fact that when we are, for example, when we are going to a party and we dress up, or we're going to an Eid Salah, or we're going to an Eid party, or we're going to any other party, a marriage function or something, and we dress up, then we feel a bit different. When a woman is, it is her wedding day, she is dressed in this elaborate dress and more jewelry and everything. She feels a bit more. She feels a bit more attention. She feels a bit more positive vibes and all that stuff, and she feels a bit more active in that sense. So it has an impact upon us, as opposed to that when we are at home and we are wearing our like regular pajamas and everything, we are in a bit laid back sort of a mood, and we are not dressed up, we don't have any makeup on and everything. It makes a difference, right? So when a woman is on her iddah, she's encouraged to wear simple home clothes, and not to beautify herself too much. Give herself that time. The only thing that is allowed is that after her periods, if she wants to, like some women have this practice of putting slight bit of perfume over their private parts after their periods is finished to get rid of that smell and everything, then that's okay, that's allowed. So other than that, she should not put perfume, and she should not get ready and everything, because this is something that the iddat of a widow is different in terms of the iddat of a woman who's divorced. And another thing is that instead of wearing all this and then feeling sad that there is no one to look at her, to appreciate her looks and everything, it helps to avoid that fitna, and that don't even dress up and everything. And also it is told that without any need, do not go out of the house too much. Like stay in the she can stay in the same house as she used to live with her husband, and if they're traveling and husband passes away while they're traveling, then she can of course come back and travel home. There's no like that she can't just step out of the house. She's not under a curfew, but it is recommended not to go out of the house for no reason, without a purpose. Like if there is a purpose, then there is no harm. For example, if she needs to go to a doctor, she needs to go to a lawyer, she needs to go to the bank, and maybe she's the only person in her family who's working and she has to support the kids or other people in her family, then obviously there's no harm in her going out to work and everything, if there is a reason to do that. But and she has to try her best not to spend the night outside, at least. Like she should do her best to come at and stay at her own home. If she was used to go to Jummah at masjid, like some women are used to go to the are in a habit and they go to the masjid regularly for Jummah, or she has some Quran classes or something, then she can carry on with that. Because if she doesn't, then it might take more time for her wounds to heal. So that is okay. But for no reason, then she should not beautify herself and do all these things, right? And for example, if she has to take her kids to classes for something and there's nobody else to do that, she has to drop her kids and pick up her kids and do all those things, then of course she's allowed to do that. And Allah Ta'ala tells us that whoever fears Him more will take care of the limits of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala and do it in a proper way. And there's a hadith to the effect of that a widow came to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and she asked that she used to go to a garden and pick up dates for her family. And can she continue doing so to be able to feed her kids, because she needs to feed her kids? And the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam allowed her to do so, right? So the point is that don't go out without a reason. A woman who's on iddah, who's widowed, who's on her iddah, is not allowed to go out without reason. So what it means basically is she shouldn't go out to parties. She shouldn't go out to marriages and functions, etc. Because if you go there and because you can't dress up at this time when everybody's dressed up and you are not dressed up, then you'll feel bad, you'll feel sad about it. So it's better you don't go to these kind of parties and functions for this period of time, right? And the point is that a lot of that the scholars point out is that once you do something to please Allah, then whoever you please doesn't matter. But if anything you do which does not have the pleasure of Allah, then there's no point in pleasing other people through it. I don't no point in doing things to please other people if Allah Ta'ala is displeased with it. So do things to please Allah Ta'ala, and if Allah Ta'ala is pleased with it, you can there is a wide range. You can each person can choose according to what they want to do, right? And like we said, there is a wisdom of this period. Like Allah Ta'ala could have given us 5 months, 4 months, 3 months, 10 days, 4 months, 20 days, 4 months, 30 days, but it's very precise, 4 months and 10 days. And of course, like we said, the complete hikmat of it only Allah knows, but we have and the scholars have extrapolated some of them. First is of course that the husband's death is a very big impact on a woman, and there is a consideration for her mourning. She deserves a deep sympathy at that time, and she's given this time to to help her, to make her emotionally strong, to help her heal. And this very specific grieving period has a very clear point of closure at the end of it. It's not like she'll keep grieving throughout her life. She's not going to mourn throughout her life, but she's given more than 3 days. She's given like 4 months and 10 days. It's a reasonable time that Allah Ta'ala has given her to heal. And different women are of different personalities. Some are stronger than the others emotionally, and some need more time with their emotions and everything. But Allah Ta'ala takes into account all kind of personalities, and he's given us this time, right? And sometimes the death of a husband could be in a very unprepared, like the husband was not sick or something, some accident happened or something happened like that, and nobody was prepared for it, right? In that case, if she is pregnant, then she should get the pregnancy known as soon as possible, right? As soon as possible, she should let the pregnancy know, because then her iddat is going to last until the child is born. And why is that? Because Islam gives a lot of importance to the nasab, to the lineage of the child, and every child should know their should have an idea of who are the parents and everything. Even if the father has passed away, he should have an idea about that, and that's given a lot of importance in our religion. Another thing is, after this strong uh, something that has happened which is so tragic with her, and something which is so hard for her to bear, if all of a sudden she has to get back to day-to-day matters of this world, then she will not be able to sit and ponder and think about, like, death and sorting his things. It will become harder for her. So this period of 10 months and 4 months and 10 days, sorry, it makes things easier for her, because she can sort out things, what is need to be done about legal matters, what needs to be done about other things. So it makes things easier for her, and also gives her time to sit and ponder and think about death and life, and take some lessons for her own life, and what she should do, and how she could get closer to Allah subhanahu. It could be a very heart-wrenching time, but it could also bring someone very close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Before Islam, in Jahili Arabs, the iddat period used to be 1 year, and what they used to do was, if a woman's husband passed away, they would close her off they would seclude her and close her off in a separate house, or separate tent, or a separate room or something, and there were no facilities given to her, like and even she was not allowed to have a bath, or clean herself and things like that. She was so much so that by the time when they came out of their iddat after 1 year, the woman would be smelling so bad, and she would be in like, obviously, if for 1 year you're not allowed to have a proper bath or something, your whole, like, skin has gone bad, and like, so basically she was treated very badly, like that. And in certain religions, like for example Hinduism, is the period of mourning is supposed to, like, they behave as if the period of mourning is supposed to last forever. And she there's so many restrictions about, she would not wear this kind of color, should not do this, she should not do that, and everything. But Islam does not put all those restrictions. It is just for a limited period of 4 months and 10 days that she can remember her husband, and she can think about him, and she can do the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, try to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And according to science as well, science has recently discovered that uterus of a woman also has a memory, and it takes time to wash away that memory, right? And so when a woman has been intimate with somebody, she was in a regular marriage, like and the person passed away, then what happens is, even her reproductive system, a woman's intimate body parts and everything, even her uterus. It takes some time to for her body to physically get over the person that she was intimate with, who was her husband and everything. And then so this time gives her time to kind of course, she's when she's pregnant, then with the delivery of the child, that clears as automatically anyway, right? If even if it is not, she was pregnant before, and maybe she was pregnant 8 months pregnant, and when the husband passed away, she just gave birth to the child a week later. Then science tells us that the thing of the uterus, everything clears away with childbirth anyway, right? Another thing we learn here is that our religion teaches us not to mourn more than 3 days. So people, when we mourn anybody else, and even other people when they come to visit us, when if any one of us has a friend or a family member or somebody we know in the community whose husband has passed away, then we should try to go for mourning and offering our condolences for within the 3 days of the death. And we shouldn't after that we shouldn't use the words like we shouldn't use pitying words for her and everything. Yes, it is her time to mourn, but yes, but we should not go and keep reminding her of that. Give her time and space to heal herself. And yes, we should talk to her about positive things. We should talk to her if she wants to remember him and whatever, but we shouldn't like make her feel that she is any less than anybody else, right? And because the thing is, we should not do afsos. We should not be like displeased at any of the decisions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So like we say, raditu billahi rabban, I'm pleased with every decision of my Lord. So we should not go and try to say, why did this happen, oh my God, you're all alone and this and that. No, yes, we should mourn and we should offer her our condolences, but we should also move with this time is for her to move towards positive and carry on her life, right? And give her this time to think. And Islam teaches us not just about happiness, it teaches about times of happiness as well as loss, about grief, about life and death, and how do we behave in all of this, right? And when we don't look at the Quran and Hadith for Hidayah, then it is that we do things and then we're like, I don't know what we should do. We are a bit like, okay, I don't know what to do. Somebody's husband passed away, somebody I knew whose husband passed away. I don't know how to react and everything. But as we, Alhamdulillah, as we learn more about our religion, it teaches us etiquettes of everything, what we should do, in what sense. And it doesn't mean that somebody can't cry after 3 days, that after 3 days are over, it's not right to cry after a person or everything. No, but it means that after 3 days, life should return to normal. Don't like keep visiting the people and make them have to entertain you and everything and sit with you, because if they have chores to do, they have people's lives. People, sometimes some people might be struggling economically, sometimes they have kids to feed, they have things to do. So if people keep visiting, it becomes hard for people to do these things, right? So after 3 days, we should avoid visitations and things like that, unless of course there is a reason and it has been agreed upon with both people, and so it's we just visiting for normal reasons and not for just condolences, right? Another thing is that the way Islam teaches us things, it maintains the respect, dignity, and rights of a woman, right? So without any need, it has been told that not to go out because it protects her from the eyes of other people. Because and she won't be marrying at this time anyway, so better keep at home during the iddat, because if she doesn't go out much, people don't look at her much, then there's no then she's protecting herself and other people from the fitna. And Islam also offers dignity and economic protection for the widow, in the sense that after iddah, it is her choice what she wants to do. And every woman, because Islam is a religion which, in its current Sharia, it started more than 1400 years ago, and it will end, stay till the end of time. So there'll be women in all kinds of situations. And for every situation, there might be a different thing that works for her. And so after iddat is over, it is her choice what she wants to do, whether she wants to live at her husband's place, whether she wants to go to her parents' or place or the brother's place, depending on what age and what situation she is in. And then whether she wants to get married again or not. If she decides she doesn't want to get married, maybe she's old, or maybe she doesn't feel the need now, or maybe she feels like she's not ready yet, or maybe she has like she wants to marry only a certain kind of person because she has kids and she wants to make sure that they all gel together. It could be many reasons, but whether she marries or not, it's up to her. Don't prevent her, and don't force her either. Yes, people around her can encourage her, but they should not force her either ways. and whatever she chooses to do, um, after her iddat is over, then whether she travels, whether she moves around, she dresses up, etc., then don't put her under microscope then, and don't start taunting her like if she's wearing nice clothes, if she's dressing up, because her iddat's over now. Now she's just as normal or as routine as any other woman, right? Any other woman who's not married. So don't, first of all, there should be no taunting her and everything. And in a lot of cultures, a lot of bad words are said to the woman, or saying it is your fault or everything. It is not. How can it be her fault? She never wanted. Nobody does that. And in certain cultures, there's a practice of sati, that the women were taunted so much that they preferred to be burnt alive with their husbands when the husbands passed away, rather than going through all that hardship and torture. And they would have to wear just white, they couldn't wear any color and everything. But Islam doesn't teach any of that, right? And whatever she does, as long as it is in a respectable way, according to the prevalent custom, whatever is the custom in their land, and she does it in a respectable way, in a good way, in a dignified way, then there is no harm in it. But obviously, if there is some custom which is against an Islamic practice, like a sati practice, in which the woman would basically kill herself when the husband passed away, or she would keep away from colors throughout her life, even after that is over, or people would keep taunting and everything. If those are the customs of the society, then they should be stopped. If something is not Islamic, then they should be stopped. And Islam is not restricting to any color. There is no color restriction on it. Obviously, when she's during her iddat, it is best not to wear very loud colors or very loud, very super colorful things and everything. To wear simple and a bit calm, but there's no like restriction on color that she has to wear only white or she has to wear only black. If she chooses to, that's fine, but there's no restriction that Islam puts on her. Right? It's just that to wear something very simple and not to dress herself up and so much, right? And then after iddat is over, then also when people visit or people talk to her as a friend or a family member, they shouldn't um, force her or make situations or put talk like that to make her a bit more sad or depressed. Or even she should not just keep having this demeanor of just being sad and depressed all the time, because um, Islam encourages remarriage actually of her choice. If she wants to, then Islam encourages remarriage. In a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ told Ali radiallahu anhu that there are three things in which you should not delay. Three things should be done as soon as possible. Whenever a man or a woman is alone, now get them remarried. Right? These are the things that you should try to do them fast. And when somebody dies, you should do their kafan dafan, you should their burial and their janazah and everything. You should do it quickly, you should do it as soon as possible. And when the time of any salah comes, then you should rush towards praying and offering your salah. So these are the three things that the Prophet ﷺ says, that in which we should not delay about these things. And then this I answered that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows everything, and if He wanted, He could have given us a whole list of orders. Do this, the woman has to do this, the woman has to do this, the woman has to, she can't do this, she can't do that. But He said, He's left that choice upon us. He said, do whatever is best for you, but know that He knows how you're behaving. So even though He's left the choice to you, if you keep this in mind, that Allah knows what you're doing, then both the girl and her family and the husband's family and everybody is conscious of that, then they will make sure that they behave in a right way and they don't trouble the woman, nor does the woman take unnecessary advantage or go into immoral acts or anything else. She also behaves in a dignified way, and the family members of both sides also behave in a dignified way. Then in the next ayah, continuing from this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that if there is some man and who has a thought of, he likes that woman and he thinks, you know what, after Hiddah is over, maybe I should propose to her and everything. And subhanallah, the Sahabas were so conscious, even the wording says that there's no sin upon you. The Sahabas were so conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they thought that if the thought came in their mind that I'll propose to her, probably they got worried. They were like, will Allah Ta'ala punish me for this thought that came in my mind? Or if there's something is in my heart, then am I sinful for it? Am I sinning? Or is it something wrong or bad? Then Allah Ta'ala tells them that there is no harm if you have a thought in your mind, then there is no harm in it. There's no harm if you're concealing it in your heart. And if you hint at it, but don't go explicitly saying it, but if you hint at it indirectly, then there is no harm in it. That you hinted it to maybe her wali or maybe somebody else that you're hinting it indirectly, then there is no harm in it. And that time in Islam, when people follow Islam, then it is very easy to get remarried for anybody, both a man and a woman. It is a very cultural thing when it becomes easier for a man to remarry, but not so easy for a woman to remarry. But according to Islam, it is easy for both of them to get remarried. And that's how it was in the generation of Sahabas. When anybody got divorced or widowed, they would get married. They would get so many proposals after the iddat was over. Of course, during their iddat, a woman has to be given that time. But once her iddat is over, then it is perfectly okay and good, and even recommended to send her a marriage proposal. And um, like of course, like we said, there is no harm in the thought that a person has in the mind, and they can say this and convey this. But the thing is that anybody who has a nikah, who tries to do a nikah, tries to ignore the period of iddat and tries to marry the person, both the girl and the another guy, who try to get into this contract of nikah during her iddat period, that is a big sin. During this period of 4 months and 10 days, if somebody has this thought, wait for that time. But if somebody does not wait till the iddat is finished and both the man and woman they get married, then this marriage will be deemed invalid. It is not allowed. It is so they will be separated. Um, they will be separated as soon as possible, because this marriage is not even valid. It will not count as a valid marriage if her iddat is on, if she gets married to any person in this time. And what happens after her iddat is over, there's a difference of opinion. Some scholars say that now they can get married again, like the second person that she married while she was on her iddat. Some people say that that marriage will not be valid, of course, during their time of iddat, but after iddat's over, they can get married again. There are other scholars who said that no, because they broke one of the limits that Allah Ta'ala has set. Now these people can never be married again, because they broke a limit of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and in their lack of sabr, they crossed the limits of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So they cannot be married again. I'm sorry. Okay, so that's there. And sorry, it's my mom, so I need to take this call. I'm sorry. Give me a second, please. Hello? नमस्ते नमस्ते नहीं नहीं कोई बात नहीं, कोई बात नहीं। हाँ, और सुना सर, ठीक है। बस हाँ, बस एक मीटिंग में थी अभी, लेकिन कोई नहीं। हाँ, सब ठीक। चलो ठीक है, मैं कॉल करती हूँ फिर आपको। आधे 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 घंटे में करती हूँ, आधे आधे घंटे में 40 मिनट्स। ठीक है, चलो ओके। आई एम सॉरी अबाउट दैट। Okay, so we were talking about yeah, they cannot be married while the woman is on her iddat. And the another thing is that why is that? Because Islamic society
Maybe
is
we were
supposed.
talking about if they broke the rule and they married during that time, they cannot remarry again. That's what some of the scholars' opinion is. That's what we were talking about,
Okay.
inshallah.
Thank you so much. Okay. Yeah. So some scholars have this opinion that if she marries someone during her iddat, that is a big sin, and that marriage would be made invalid. But after the iddat is over, some scholars say they can be married, and some scholars say they can never be married because they didn't have sabr for this time and everything. And the point is that Islamic society is made of people who are supposed to be compassionate amongst themselves, right? And this includes respecting another person's feeling. So it is haram to start wooing a widow for marriage right after her husband's passed away while she's in her iddat, because such behavior is callous, and it lacks sensitivity, because she is emotional, she's going through some emotional turmoil, and she might be very vulnerable to anybody because she's feeling so lonely, and she's upset. She might get in the influence of somebody, or somebody might trouble her, or somebody might take advantage of her. Somebody who's not so nice, who might have not have these like respectable intentions. Somebody might take advantage of her, right, or not be so sensitive to her. So it is not allowed to woo a woman when her husband's passed away. Before her, that's over. But obviously, like we said, he can indirectly hint at it, right? And these things, these crossing the limits of Allah Ta'ala, it happens when people are away from the Quran. They have no idea of what is to be done. And that's why when we live a life as a Muslim, then we should know these things, even though we might not ourselves be going through these. But it's important to understand these things first. If is when we talk about Islam, or we live the life of a Muslim, any situation can come across anyone at any particular time, and so we're not lost in, okay, what do I do now, right? Also, then if somebody talks to us about Islam, we should know what our religion actually teaches. Otherwise, how can we defend our religion? We cannot if we don't know what is the proper teaching of our religion. And in some circles of a Muslim, there are the things very contrary to the commands of the Quran and the Sunnah, which are talked about. And these things are talked about. If some things like these are talked about, and we understand that people who are sitting and making these kind of conversations or something, they are not interested in knowing the truth, then we should not stay there, and we should not take interest in these talks, first of all, because some people like to talk of a very they like gossip. Let's say some people just like gossip, and they talk about things in a way in which, and all of us know that we don't have to go to examples. All of us understand when people are making fun of like marriages and divorce, and like we live in a highly sexualized environment, and everything's about relationships and this and that. So if people is making fun of these kind of things and everything, first um, we should not join them in doing this. And then we should stay away from that. If somebody is ready to listen, then we can explain to them. But we can judge very quickly. We all know, we live in the real world. We all know when somebody is not ready to listen anything, and they're just saying something for the sake of making fun of stuff and just having a good time or whatever. Then we should stay away from that kind of a conversation, and that kind of a group, or that kind of a gathering, until they change their topic, of course. And another thing is that a married woman is not the same as a woman who was not married before. So a woman who has been married once is more aware. Like a woman who's like a 16, 17-year-old unmarried young girl is could be more naive in terms of the world, and how things happen, and how a relationship develops, and what all it takes to keep a relationship alive and everything. But a woman who's been married before, and who's either widowed or divorced, she is more she's more understanding of what is required of her husband. She's more understanding of her own nature and what she wants from a husband and things like that. So there is obviously a more she's been given a more responsibility, in the sense that she can go ahead and make decision for herself in that time, because she's now more mature, and she will be protected a bit more, because she's not the same as a young girl who's very emotional, or who's very naive in that sense, right? And so example, like like when a woman has lived financially, she has made some financial decisions, she's taken care of children and everything. It changes a woman. It gives her wisdom, it makes her stronger, it makes her a bit more knowledgeable in how to do things and everything, right? And again, another thing here is that a person cannot even promise that he can allude to it, that and he can hint at it, that he probably would like to just know about it if she's thinking about marriage again and everything. But he cannot promise her anything, because she's, again, the same reason, because she's emotionally very weak, and Islam tries to protect her, that she should not to close the doors for her to be manipulated in this time. Because once she has this iddat period gone, she's gone through her emotions and everything, then she's more emotionally stable, and she can use her intellect to make a sound decision, and she's not making a decision based on just feeling very emotionally weak and lonely and being manipulated by anything. And here Allah Ta'ala tells us that even the thoughts that you have, Allah Ta'ala knows them, right? Allah Ta'ala knows. Don't be under any illusion that Allah does not know your secret intentions. So He knows what we plan, what we dream about, what we think about, any waswasas that we get, any thought that comes to our mind. And if any thoughts comes to for somebody to cross these limits, and those thoughts will come. Obviously, waswasa does come. Shaitan is real. He puts waswasa in our heads. If any thought comes, there's no harm in. We cannot stop the thoughts from coming, but as soon as you understand that this thought is from shaitan, is the waswasa, is something against the limit of Allah, then try to push that thought away and try to keep it at bay, and that will only happen when somebody knows that Allah Ta'ala knows whatever is in our hearts. Even if somebody's not spoken to it to anybody, the thought is just in their head, but Allah Ta'ala still knows. Nobody else knows, but Allah knows. And once somebody knows that, then obviously they'll be more mindful of observing that, right? And Allah Ta'ala tells us that he knows everything, but also know that Allah Ta'ala is Ghafurun Halim, that He is the one who's the most forgiving. He forgives you for that. Don't, if the thoughts are coming first of all, then don't worry. Allah forgives, and He's the most forgiving about the thoughts. And if He wanted, He could have caught you for your thoughts about these as well. He could have done that, but He does not do that. He is the most forgiving and the most forbearing, the Halim. Halim is somebody who it is such a beautiful word. Halim is somebody who bears whatever you do. You know, it's like he doesn't catch you right away. He gives you time. He keeps you time and time and time. He bears with you and whatever you're doing. And even when we do a mistake, he doesn't catch us right away. Sometimes some people do a mistake, 10, 20 years pass by after they've done a mistake, and Allah Ta'ala still doesn't catch them. But don't think that He will not catch you. That there will be a day where you'll need to pay back. He gives us time because He gives us time so that we turn back to Him and seek His forgiveness and correct our ways. But we should not think of any time we've done some sins or mistakes and crossed any limits of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that if we don't even seek His forgiveness, then Allah ta'ala will just, and just because we've not been caught for it, no punishment has come our way that Allah ta'ala doesn't know about it. No, Allah ta'ala knows every single thing that every single person does. And it is His nature, His Ghafurun Halim, that He does not call us to task on small things or trifling matters. And if our intentions are honest, then we can, if some mistakes happen from us, sometimes our intentions are honest, we don't want to cross the limits of Allah, and but some mistakes happen, like a person was just going to talk to the wali, but then something slipped out of his mouth and he's like, oh my god, I gave a clear hint instead of a very unambiguous hint, then what do I do and everything. But if the intention was honest and something happened, a slip happened, then that's fine. And here the word is used to describe the limit is kitab, hatta yablughal kitabu ajalahu. Right, that the term for the iddah, the word kitab is used, and the word kitab is used to reinforce the importance of it. Like kitab, as in like something, this is written. So this period of time which is written. So be very mindful of it. So knowing its importance, and knowing that Allah Ta'ala is all knowing, and understanding that Allah Ta'ala is all knowing, it inspires some kind of behavior in somebody. When somebody really internalizes that, what happens is that we fear Allah Ta'ala. We truly respect and abide by the laws of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And we are not deluded by any respite in this life, like we said. And we understand that although He is most forgiving and the most forbearing, but there is nothing that is beyond His knowledge or His power. So when we understand that, we'll obviously, men as well as women, in whatever situations, we'll act in a righteous way. And then Allah Ta'ala tells us back about the situation of a woman who's divorced, that there is no sin upon you if you divorce the woman whom you have not touched, whom you've not had any relationships with, a husband and wife relationship, and you have not specified any mahar for them. Now, mahar is a fard, it's a part of the marriage contract. If obviously something happened without a person's knowing or about it, and it happened before somebody accepted Islam or something, or they didn't know about it, then of course it is another matter. But mahar is the gift that a husband gives to the wife. First of all, there is no family members involved. It is not the wife, like it's not the wife's family who will give gifts to the husband's family. There's nothing like that. In Islam, the meher is, or the dowry is, the gift, wedding gift, and the only person giving gift is the husband, and obviously his family can help him and whatever, but the husband gives the gift to his wife. The gift is not to the wife's family either. The woman, the girl, she owns it, whatever he gives her. It could be, depending on whatever the person's financial status is, it could be cash, it could be some property, it could be jewelry, it could be whatever he gives. Now, whatever meher is, so meher is a part of a marriage contract in Islam. A meher is decided at that time, and it is supposed to be given as soon as a person can give it. But if for some reason a divorce happens, and the meher was not specified for whatever reason, and you end up divorcing and separating, then what should you do? Then the person who's rich, a man who's rich, should give her a gift according to his status, and a person who's poor, if a person just earns like say $100 in a month, then you can't expect him to give $500,000 to this lady. But if a person is earning like $1 million in a year, then you don't expect him to give a parting gift $100. Like obviously give according to your own financial means. Different people will have different means, and you give according to that. And there's no sin upon anyone, and neither the man nor the woman, if this has happened. And give some compensation. And um, the point is that if a marriage contract was made, even though she didn't live with you or anything, but she thought of herself as married, and there is a little heartbreak there. It is difficult. It is very difficult for her to compensate her for that loss, that feeling of that emotional loss or whatever. But a gift could just help her a little bit. It just helps to cushion the thing. That just gift her something out of whatever you can do, because some woman has been harmed because of you. She's going to go through a period of that she's going to feel something in her heart. So give her some gift and make things better. In that sense, try to make things easier for her in whatever way you can. And this is called matai talaq. Right? This is called matai talaq, something that is given when the meher was not fixed and there was no relationship between husband and wife. They were not living together yet, and the divorce had happened. So you give something. And the Sahaba, the our previous people, the Sahabas, and the thing, uh, when they used to go, when they used to come to this situation, sorry, then they would give a lot of gifts to the lady. For example, Hassan ibn Ali radiallahu anhu, the son of Ali radiallahu anhu, he once had to he once divorced his wife, and while divorcing the wife, he gave 20,000 dirham, which is like a fortune, to the woman. And at that time, he cried, and he said that if I had not given three divorce, I would have taken her back, because I am sad at the loss of such a beautiful friend. And this amount that I'm giving is so little in uh, in terms of the friend that I'm losing. But the thing is, this is even though they're separating, what happens is it reduces when you say nice things about each other, when you even though you couldn't get along, when you say nice things about each other, when you give some gift, then it reduces the blow, and it makes it a bit easier that okay, not every, and there's no like people are conscious and sensitive to each other's emotions and life and everything, right? And Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he said that a person should give as much as he can. A minimum that a person should give, the lowest degree is to give at least one set of clothes to her. Right? So something should be given to her. And it is so beautiful because Islam tells us the etiquettes of even exiting a relationship, of leaving a relationship, right? There's etiquettes of entering a relationship, and there's etiquettes of even leaving a relationship, right? And at marriage time, for example, a lot of people, what they do is at marriage time, they give so many gifts at the time of marriage, and they go a bit beyond their capacity. They do a lot of israf, they do a lot of exaggeration, they give too much gifts to each other and everything. And then what happens when if something doesn't work out and they have to now separate ways, then there's so much like problem now, and who do how to get back all those things for both the parties, right? And then there's so much taunting, and there's so much like friction between each other and everything. And like there's bank accounts, and there's joint jobs, and there's like the house on lease and terms and conditions and everything. And it becomes so hard for things that you don't understand these things, right? Some people, they what they do is at the time of separations, they are bad mouthing each other, they're saying things, some are truth, some are not the truth, and they're being nasty to each other and everything. And especially if there are children involved, and the children are looking at all these things, right? So if even if somebody is exiting the relationship, then if you make it nice and easy for both the parties, then it becomes nicer for everybody involved, and there's no friction among. There might be some mutual friends, then it becomes awkward for the mutual friends, like to meet either of them, because it's like, okay, when how do we meet this person and that person and everything, right? So it becomes very hard, and Islam teaches us that do things in a proper way and do things with minimum tensions between both of you, and wherever there is tension, try to reduce it in whichever way possible, right? And then with marriage and divorce and everything, of course, don't start conversations, don't keep talking about this happened and this happened and then this happened, and then gossiping about the couple who broke up and everything. So it reduces that thing. And when the woman and the husband and the wife, the ex-husband and wife, if they are not bad mouthing each other, they're not telling other people about their sad stories or how this person was horrible or that thing, then it reduces the gossip in the society so much more. And a Muslim is not supposed to be that free, that we don't have that much time to just engage in meaningless gossip. And of course, it is a sin to backbite, and also we are losing our productive time, because time is our most valuable currency, right? And we should not let our curiosities and our dislike for somebody, or our differences of opinion with somebody, to spoil the things and everything, right? And another thing we learn from here, that meher is a part of marriage and it should be done, it should be utilized, right? And a society in which the hearts of people are clear, when they think of the other person as, okay, I could not carry on with this person. My marriage did not last with this person, but this person is still a Muslim. This person is still a believer. So I need to behave in the best way. We need to still be a muhsin towards them, right? And do things in a way that is good, that is nice. And for women especially, Islam gives rules that have compassion in them, because understand that women have emotions. Women are more emotional by nature, and when her heart is broken, then she needs something and help her to get over things, right? And when somebody adopts a righteous attitude, when somebody's trying to do more than what they're supposed to do, then understand that, even consider this as an obligation of your religion, that your religion teaches you to do these things in this way, right? And then Allah Ta'ala tells us that if a divorce happened, and before you've touched them, but you have specified a meher was, now this is another situation, that a meher was specified. Now, just to reiterate, like, a divorce could happen in four kind of situations. Like, first of all, a meher was fixed and a meher was not fixed. That are the two situations, right? If a meher was not fixed, and uh, consummation of marriage did not happen, then you give a matai talaq, like a person gives according to his means. Just give whatever you can. But if consummation had happened, they had started living as a husband and wife, but the meher was still not fixed, then what you give is, it's called meher al mithl, which is a divorce. The woman is given as much meher as is customary in her immediate family. Like, she wouldn't feel like I was cheated out of it or anything. Whatever is customary, like if the customary thing is, let's say, $10,000 in her family, then just give her that same amount, a full meher. If the husband and wife had started living as a husband and wife, because there are emotions involved now, and she's more attached to the person, everything. But these are the two cases when meher was not fixed. Now, another situation is when meher was fixed. Now, these could be two situations as well. When meher was fixed and the marriage was consummated, they were living together as a husband and wife, then the full meher has to be left with the woman. But if the marriage was not consummated, although the meher was fixed, then half of that meher will need to be given to the woman, right? So in this case, when half of the meher is to be given, then, but if the woman decides, what, a woman's wealthy, or for some reason she decides that, what, I'll forgo it, I don't want it, it's fine, then that's okay. And if the man says, what, why to give you just half, I would like to give you, just take all of that meher, and that is good as well, right? So what is the point? The purpose is to start to heal the wounds. Obviously, there'll be some wounds, some emotional wounds, some kind of friction, something. Then Quran advises us to try to heal those wounds for each other and be a bit generous. In social life, happiness comes from being kind and liberal, and not from literally observing the law. There is one thing called literally observing the law. Okay, I have to give you half. I had like $57.45. I'll give you only $57.45. And there's another view. It's like, okay, I owed you like around 57 or 58. Let me give, and the whole thing was 110. Just take 100, or something like that. So Islam teaches us that in social life we should be liberal. We should not stick to the just give more than it is required of you. And Quran is advising the man to be a bit more liberal in that sense, because according to his status, in which that there is a couple of things that he has been given a bit status more than the woman. One thing is that the tie of nikah is in the hands of the woman. The Prophet ﷺ told us to the effect of in a hadith that the husband is the guardian or the wali of the bond of marriage, right? Because he's the one who's guarding that, because he has the ability to pronounce divorce. A woman cannot pronounce divorce. If she wants to separate from the husband, she has to get a khula and everything. So it's a complicated, it's a procedure to that. And but for a man, it is he holds it in his hand that he can open this, and that's why he's told to be more generous as well. He's been given one authority more, so he has to. It's required for him to be more giving as well. And also, a man has been made the head of the household, so he's expected to be more generous and be a giver rather than a receiver when it comes to financial matters, especially, right? And what we learn from these passages, and there'll be more coming later on about divorce and marriage throughout, a little more in Surah Baqarah as well, and then more throughout the Quran. But what we learn is that the golden rules for every relationship throughout our life is that if we can forgive, that is closer to taqwa, right? And in the beginning of a marriage, it is very easy to be romantic and everything. But if somebody, God forbids, has to separate, then it is hard to be good at that time because you're separating and everything. Then the only thing that will make you act good and forgiving when you have so much wounds against each other is when you remember Allah Ta'ala and you want to do it for the sake of Allah Ta'ala, to be good and forgiving and to behave in a good way, to have a big heart and to forgive people their mistakes, and to not keep poking at your wounds again and again, to not keep talking, how he behaved. Like 10 years after the marriage has broken down, people are still talking about, he was so bad and my time with him was so bad and he was so horrible and everything. That, only people who have big heart can forgive people. It is not easy to forgive people who hurt you, because but it's only the big heart. Because one of our teachers, she gives a very good example. She says that if you put a spoon of salt in a glass of water, then it becomes very bitter. But if you put the same spoon of salt in a whole lake of water, it doesn't make any difference, right? So if you make your heart big, then in if somebody hurts you or somebody puts a little bit of bitterness, it would just go away because it's like so big, your heart is big. But if you make your heart small, if you let your heart stay small, then you won't be able to bear it, and it will like tug on your heart so much, and you won't be able to get over something. Another thing is, do not forget graciousness among you. That whatever, sometimes when couples are together, when they're separating, they've had some frictions obviously, but they've had some good time as well. So whatever good times they had, they should try to remember that. They should not forget that, right? And don't just ask when you're trying to ask, when any of us has to go in our matters and ask for fake opinions or something, then don't just ask for what is legal, what is the bare minimum I can do. Ask for what is the best way to do things, what is the best way to do things, and that will help you, not just for yourself but also the society as well, right? And another thing that we learn is that whatever we do, Allah Ta'ala is fully aware of every single action that we do, right? And when we are aware of this, that if somebody hurt me and I'm still behaving nicely with them, but I know that Allah is watching me, then I have this feeling that Allah Ta'ala will reward me for it, right? And if you look at today's time, like people don't mind paying to the lawyers, but 10 times more, but they wouldn't give like what is due to the husband or the wife, right? And subhanallah, from a hadith that we learned, that the Prophet ﷺ told us that even a believer in that there's a time that will come that even a believer withhold their things like with their teeth, they don't want to give anything to anyone, right? And but the thing is, Islam teaches us, if we have goodness, then share that goodness, share it around, and don't be stingy with anything, right? And we live in a time that people do a little and they show a lot more. They do a little bit and they express, or they make the other person show a little bit. See, I did this for you, I did that for you. Rather, Islam teaches us to do the opposite. Don't show it. Keep that between you and Allah. Allah Ta'ala is watching. Nobody else needs to watch. It's fine. But He's watching. Then when the all seeing is watching, then why do I need other people to know what I have done for whom? But give more, do more, be generous, keep your heart big, and forgive people where possible. And if whether you're entering a relationship or whether you're exiting a relationship, be nice and kind and generous to people. May Allah Ta'ala make us of those people who are nice and genuine, who understand their obligations in situations when we are entering as well as exiting our relationships. May Allah Ta'ala make our relationships beautiful, whether it's with our parents, whether it's with our children, whether it's with our spouses, whether it's with our friends and other family members and our community members, other believers. May Allah Ta'ala make us of those people who have big hearts, who can forgive people so that we can gain the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah Ta'ala make us of those people who behave with ihsan. May Allah Ta'ala put ihsan in our akhlaq, in our manners, in our Islam, in our deen and our iman. And may Allah Ta'ala bless this gathering and anybody who listens to this, whether live right now or later on. May Allah Ta'ala reward all of us and bless us with that time and reward us for our time and accept it from us. We are full of mistakes and shortcomings, but our Rabb is full of mercy and acceptance. May Allah Ta'ala forgive all our shortcomings and bless us anyway. Any goodness that comes from today's talk or any other talk or any work of the deen that happening anywhere is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. And any shortcomings of this talk today is mine and mine alone. May Allah Ta'ala forgive me and accept everything. May Allah Ta'ala, if I said anything that was not pleasing or not correct, then may Allah Ta'ala erase it from the memory of people and erase it from my own memory as well. And if anything was beneficial, may Allah Ta'ala increase it and spread it far and wide. May Allah Ta'ala make us of those people who follow His deen and who are eager to follow His deen, who remember that Allah Ta'ala is watching us. And always, always Allah Ta'ala is watching us and He will reward us for anything. Anything that we bear for His sake, He will not let even an atom's worth go unnoticed or unrewarded. May Allah Ta'ala make us of those people who are conscious of this. سبحانك اللهم أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.